Live in 30 seconds, the rocket-powered report is the meeting of three casters. Stay tuned for esports news in Rocket League, chat about our favorite game, and all the laughs. And now, your hosts, Rock Whisperer, Curtis, and myself, SilentEcho.
Guys, welcome in. This is the August, whatever the frick this date is.
29th.
August 29th edition of the
Episode
Rocket
4.
Power Report. Episode 4, indeed. There was an episode 0 at one point. We made that number 1. But either way, I am Curtis. I am joined by Stone. Stone, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Good,
Oh,
good.
good.
I'm pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. Silent, you there?
I'm here. I'm good.
Good.
And we got somebody else who snuck in here as well.
Yeah, I don't know who let him in. I'm not sure. I mean, it's got to be the beard. Everybody want to introduce you guys to FindableCarpet, RLCS caster extraordinaire, and also beard extraordinaire. Carpet, how we doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Absolutely.
Yeah, they only wanted you on so that my beard can look terrible in comparison.
Yeah.
Whose beard doesn't look terrible in
They should
comparison?
have
That'll
put
be
you
mine.
for me. Not I don't know. Curtis's looks pretty good though.
Yeah.
Curtis's looks pretty good over there.
Yeah, you got to look real close at it. It's one of those. It's findable snowbank is what it is.
Fine little
So-
snowbank. I like it.
But either way, yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. Whole bunch to go into, and we're gonna start things off today by basically showing you guys what we have going on socially. You can get us at Rocket Powered Rep on Twitter. Go ahead and hit the follow button on Twitch as well, much appreciated. And you can get us up in the chat as well. We do monitor the chat throughout, so that's good stuff. Either way, our favorite challenger release is credit.
Sorry, what? WTF is a RLCS analyst? That's a good question. I'd like to know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm sure everyone here knows, but Carpet, do you want to just say who you are, why you're important?
I'm not important. But I did get lucky enough to become a caster for the Rocket League Championship Series. Prior to that, I started the Pulsar Premier League, which is still around. It's struggling here and there. It's got its up and downs.
It is still a thing.
It is still a thing. It does exist. We have recently started like an open league for it that anyone can join for, which is pretty cool. We're trying to get that to take off the ground. But anyways, yeah, that's me. I'm not important. I just know a lot of people. Is really all it is.
That works. He comes to work at the studio at Psyonix in his lawyer suit. And
Dude, I
his
love
brown
that
lawyer
suit.
with the beard.
Did they provide that suit, or is that yours? Like, I need to know the answer. Oh,
That is
nice.
my suit.
Good.
That's
I like
your-
it.
okay.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So I guess I have a general question for you. I see the guitars in the background. What do you have guitar-wise back there?
Well, one of them is just an Ibanez electric acoustic that I used a long time ago, and then another one's from my grandfather. He passed away a while ago, and that guitar's kind of around. It's like a 45-year-old Gibson semi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it still works, and I'm scared to use it because every time I do, I'm like, this is going to be the last time. So
Sweet.
it's sexy as hell. But I've got
that's pretty awesome.
there's like 4 others on this wall, but we won't go that far.
And then they're hanging over the bed where the magic happens at that point.
No, it's cool. When I run around and kick, they just fall on top of me.
Either way, let's go ahead and get into the program here. We got to talk a little bit first about your associate and iBuyPower originator, Gibbs, who made a Gibblet.
You made a Gibblet, yeah.
He made a Gibblet. Yes.
That's one way to put it.
Big congrats to Gibbs. Hell of a human being. No doubt about
Adorable
that.
child.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And he's representing the Orange team proudly as he tweeted out a picture with an orange pacifier in his mouth. That was
I like
worked
that.
really, really well.
Well, and I don't know if
So-
any of you guys saw, but did you see Wavepunk's video he posted about it, The Circle of Life?
Oh, it was great.
That's
I haven't seen
fantastic.
it. I'm gonna have to catch that. I didn't see that yet.
That moment when Jacob's face just takes up the whole screen, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
I lost it. I couldn't do it.
If you want, go onto my Twitter. I retweeted it recently. You can watch that. It was fantastic.
He did a good job.
Wavepunk says, "Do you bring the guitar? He'll make it sing."
Oh no, he will. He's insane. No, he's actually a god on. Yeah, no, he went to
Oh,
school
wow.
for music, and he's
That's
absolutely
pretty.
Oh
insane.
wow.
That's
Okay.
pretty legit.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's why I don't pick it up ever, because then he's just gonna like destroy me. So.
Yeah,
He'll stay there on the wall until like everything's off and I'm alone in my room and like ding 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 and I'm ticking along.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
No, he'd wreck me.
That's awesome.
But
Okay.
yeah, so Gibbs. So Gibbs made a baby.
Yeah.
Gibbs, Gibbs
Everything's
baby,
working
that's
and
insane.
functional. We know that now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It looked like it had a little trouble depending on the thing was hooked up and stuff. Surprisingly, the baby came out a lot cuter than him, or I guess thankfully.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
baby
it'd be
looked
hard not
nothing
to,
like
right?
him.
Let's be honest.
Well, that's yeah. Let's be honest. That's what we wanted it not to happen.
Yeah,
We
no,
wanted it to
he
definitely
was
look
probably
like
like,
her.
he's like, oh god, look nothing like me, look nothing like me.
Yeah.
The
Please don't
baby's
look like a
life
traffic
is
pylon.
screwed.
Please don't
Yeah.
look like a traffic pylon. Please don't look like a traffic pylon.
Well, I
Please
have
don't-
expected the baby to be born with a hard hat on his head.
Or just looking 15 years older than it really is.
That's pretty awesome.
But no, it's cool because like when I first met him out in the RLCS, which was only a few months ago, I mean his wife was already pregnant.
Okay.
I mean, I actually like, you know, you always think about stuff like I wonder if it's something they would have decided to do had he started with this, right? Because this is obviously pretty time consuming.
Yeah, yeah.
He probably will have to miss some of season 2, I'd assume. I mean, he's gonna have to stay
Yeah,
bit for the
it's
baby.
yeah.
He can't be
difficult,
leaving
yeah.
every weekend
Mhm.
for like
Yeah.
a month.
Unless
but, I mean,
he brings them
Unless
out.
David wants to make a stage appearance. What do you think?
yeah, this baby stage appearance. If he brings that baby on a plane, I will kill him. Mostly because I kill everyone else on the plane. No, but it's cool, and everyone's been super nice. Like our bosses are like, dude, like take whatever time you need. Like you know,
yeah.
they're not just gonna fire the guy for having a baby.
Oh
of
no,
course.
no, no.
And plus it's Gibbs. You know, you're
Yeah,
kind of
right.
stuck with him because for some godforsaken reason the community loves the guy.
Don't know how that happened.
why. I really don't know why. But it's cool, yeah. And well, we're all excited for him. I thought it was really cool, and he was pretty stoked, especially because he's like a giant man-child. So I'm curious to know how he's gonna be a dad. But I think he'll be a fine father. Honestly, he's a really fun guy.
Yep. Yeah. I haven't gotten the chance to talk to him personally, and I'd like that chance sometime in the next century. But ultimately, I everything I've heard about him, all the reputation says that he's a fantastic guy. So
Oh yeah.
good on him. Congratulations, Gibbs. That's
Papa
a
Gibbs.
huge thing. Yep,
Yeah.
Papa Gibbs. Yeah.
He's already been Papa Gibbs. Now he's really Papa Gibbs.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, right? Let's just hope he doesn't neglect his first child, the Rocket League community. You know, like that like we're his firstborn. Okay. But
I
then,
was here first.
Yeah, damn it. I have first child syndrome, man. I'm the oldest in my family. So.
There you go. There
But
you go.
yeah, so in other news, like we got a bit of a biblical story to tell. So
Yeah.
turns out Rocket League Jesus might be Rocket League Samson as he's cut all his hair off. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at
Yeah.
all.
I mean,
We,
did you see his twit
At
longer
this
about
point,
it?
We're gonna have to tweet out a before and after picture that actually Gabe from Shift Pro League made.
Oh, yeah.
Of him before the haircut and then after that he posted on the stream on Shift Pro League's
Mm-hmm.
tournament on Friday. Something that definitely should be done. It's I'll have to screen it and then tweet it. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, go for it.
But ultimately, yeah, huge difference. But he looks he kind of looks like a Backstreet Boy.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah, as that. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, right? Honestly, so
Yeah,
so
he's got those crystal blue eyes and that nice gelled up
yeah.
hair.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
that happens here in California. But
yeah. But
That's the stereotype out there, isn't it?
yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
it exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a reason stereotypes exist. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, they're
I'm
usually based
the
on
British
statistics.
guy at the end of the day, so I know all
man,
about the
we're getting
stereotypes.
we're getting real political here, talking about stereotypes.
Yeah.
Back out before we have a chance.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a podcast about a man's hair at the moment, so
Yeah, it's gonna go political at some point.
I was I guess a little surprised. So like I guess just to kind of why I was a little shocked that he did it. It was if you guys read the tweet longer why he did it, it was a very personal reason.
yeah, like you can
cutting
look
his
for
hair actually
that.
meant
I don't want to
something
go
big
into
for
it.
him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Pretty much he said like he thinks he found a family. He feels good now. He feels like his life's on a better path than it was. So I mean, it's a very respectable reason for what it
for
really
sure.
meant to him, which was cool. But it's
Yeah.
funny, right? Because like my first day on the RLCS, my beard was about half the length of this, but it was still a pretty thick beard, and I had gotten a lot of attention in my stream for having one. Like people were already like, oh, beard guy. So I knew the moment I was on camera with one,
that's it.
I was going to have it for a long time.
Yeah, the forever now.
Which was fine. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I grew it for a reason. And I had to make that decision prior to, actually. Like, we were thinking, like, it was a little homelessy when I first, like, showed up. And I had to, like, go to a barbershop and get it trimmed up and stuff. and because they were even contemplating making me shave because it didn't look too great at the time. And it's become like a brand of mine ever since, and it's kind of helped me grow. It helps me stand out, do all sorts of things. So
your
with
subscribers come out of your beard and hit the purple button, don't they?
Yeah. So that's why it's one of those things, like, he had a choice, and I thought it was really respectful of him to do what felt better for him personally, because he now had that brand. He had that whole Jesus look. Yeah. All the Reddit posts, all of his followers, everyone in his chat, he had the whole Jesus hair thing. And it made him stand out, and like even in the videos from RLCS, like, you see him get excited, his hair's going crazy. So I thought it was really cool of him to actually like still do it, because it was like something personal to him. Like, even though it was actually a really good thing for him to stand out like that, him cutting it was, I don't know. I thought it was a respectable decision.
Respectable decision.
I'm sure he fought with it.
Respectable decision, sure, but it was a shock, to say the least, for everybody in the community. So.
Well, but then, like, let's also go into why we're calling it, instead of Rocket Jesus, we should call him Rocket Samson. If you were looking at Rocket Royale last week, where did IBP even place?
Not great, let's be honest. So I'm gonna get the results up here. Just before we get into that, I mean, one thing about the haircut thing is that this does make him more marketable as like a corporate sponsorship opportunity. Like, they'd love. Well, yeah. So there's that consideration as well. Like, there might be business implications for him, as for his personal brand, for having the shorter hair.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's something to bear in mind for definite. But looking at the Rocket Royale, like, IBP, Air Please kicked him out. So in the quarterfinals, which is impressive to say the least from Air Please. Like, that's a team that's kind of come out of nowhere for me. I wasn't really aware of them until I was watching Rocket Royale last night.
Yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see it on stream, I don't think.
No, it was.
So, I Buy Power were in Rocket Royale, and they didn't make it to on stream, and that kind of says it all, does it not?
Yeah,
so,
that was something to think about for sure. That was a shock for sure. But going into it, we're not going to go too in depth into the other results, unless you guys can think of a couple other ones or see a couple other ones that are on there.
Well, I'll mention Iron Hype against I Buy Power. Congratulations taking that game off of them. I know Lumen's always in our chat, so.
Oh yeah, he's there.
Yep.
He paired up with Coleman, actually. I've been a good friend with Coleman for a long time. I really like his playstyle. He's a solid player. So when he told me he was with Lumen, I'm like, oh, hell, like, these are like two of my favorite, like, silly guys. Like, they're both just super upbeat and like always really happy. Like, Coleman, like, I've started doing this thing since whenever Coleman gets stressed and he has to make like a hit that's like a lot of work, he's like, and he starts to like
hyperventilating on stream.
Dude, all of a sudden, like, I'm just in comms with him, and I just hear like when it's like a special save he has to make, and I'm like, what was that? And then he like sends me a link to some like 5-year-old VOD of him doing it when he was like in some, I don't even know what he was playing. I think it was like Counter-Strike or something. And he was like freaking out to get this kill, and he just kept doing it. I'm like, oh god, like some subconscious thing he does when he's stressed. And like, Illum is just such a doll. I got to meet them both at the RLCS. They're both super nice guys. So I'm hoping that like the positive attitude can bring their team places.
Yeah,
I can't imagine two nicer guys.
Iron Hype in general is on their way up. We've seen them more than a few times at Shift, and they've gone as high as second in that tournament. Ended up with, I don't remember who it is they lost to at that point.
We've seen them on the power rankings before as well.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, they're definitely a bubble team, if not top 10.
Absolutely.
So,
top 15.
For sure. The only other thing that stood out for me was We Dem Babies taking Flipside in the groups on Rocket Royale, which that was news to me. Like,
that's something to talk about for sure. Because I mean, We Dem Babies, who consists, help me out with the roster on that one.
Scrub Killer. And pass.
And pass.
From there, like, somebody else's turn.
I can look this up right now.
Bluey and Mistake.
Either way, the fact that they beat Flipside's definitely going to be an upset as far as that goes.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Good on them to do that.
Team Enjoy took them out in the end in the bracket.
Want to go into Genesis and Vendetta though?
Oh yeah.
Talk a little bit about this.
Speaking of Rocket Royale, the biggest, like, that was the most stressful, I don't know, probably series I've seen in quite some time. Being the Genesis fan that I am, it was quite.
Well, you'll be happy.
For those that are unaware, and for those that are just kind of tuning in for the first time, Stone is basically in love with everything Genesis has to offer. So
literally everything.
Virtually
when
everything.
They were first sweeped. Mock it. Did you
that
like
was
Egyptian?
let's not talk about this. I'm pretty sure I fainted.
He doesn't remember the rest of that day. He spent the most of it at a bar.
Dude, it was actually insane. Like, we were there, we're like, what is this nonsense? Like, we were freaking out.
I was watching at my girlfriend's apartment on her TV, and she doesn't think of me as a very competitive, aggressive person. She's never heard me scream and yell and make their neighbors come downstairs before.
That's pretty
So
funny.
it was quite enjoyable, and once again, it was pretty much a repeat almost of that, maybe not to the same extent. Watching the Rocket Royale, I had to rewatch the VOD actually again just to really see what was going on, and having Quinn casting the whole thing was pretty fun because it felt like everyone, because the caster was a huge fan of Genesis, so I felt like I was being repped for my team.
You're no longer the most biased caster in the business, because that's clearly now Quinn.
That's not false.
That's not false. That's pretty good.
That is not false. But on both of those teams, what we do need to take note of is on Genesis, they had Classics playing, because as we all know, Quinn is no longer a professional Rocket Leaguer. And for Vendetta, if you guys don't already know, and I'm not sure if we already mentioned it, that is, I want to say previously Lucky Bounce, because it's 2/3 of the team.
It kind of feels like it, yeah.
But it's that would be Torment, Darkfire, who are both from Lucky Bounce, and Squishy, who is.
Well, there was a lot of drama with Lucky Bounce.
I'm
not going to speak on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if here's the place, but essentially, they split up and they didn't know who was going to take the name. So, Timothy has the Lucky Bounce name for most of the stuff, or I don't really know, because they were involved in like a bunch of tournaments.
I think Timothy was one of the original members or something, and so he was just claiming the name.
Yep.
Yeah. But they're on like a bunch of other tournaments and leagues. Like they're in the PPL, they're in Gamersaloon, and they had to figure out like who gets to stay and play underneath that name. There's a lot of drama. So
I want to touch on Squishy Muffins real quick. Jumping
YouTube extraordinaire, 1v1 player.
Now I want to touch on that topic because of the fact that we and saying Shift again. We jumped on. We looked back at a couple weeks ago in Shift. The first time we saw him with a threes team, kind of on his own and not as a sub, was Lemonade for Turtles, or as the initials go, LFT, which is a caster's nightmare, by the way. Ultimately, they played really, really well. It was him, it was Skies, and it was Epic Johnny. For those that are familiar with those two, they played really, really well. They actually took 2 tournaments in a row at Shift, our 1-up tournament and our one from last week, our weekly number 2. The fact is that this week we had another. I'm sorry, not this last one. Either way, doesn't matter. They took 2 in a row, and Skies and Epic Johnny played really, really well with him. So it's kind of shocking to me that all of a sudden he's kind of flipped gears and gone a different route and is a third on another team, because those 3 were looking really, really good, and I halfway expected them to go into an RLCS Season 2. And I think Skies was under the impression they were as well.
I'm not surprised. Seeing Squishy Muffins is like Squishy has always jumped around from team to team as a sub. He knows all of those top level guys, and I think what it came down to, and this is all just in my head. I have no actual proof of this. But what it would seem like to me is he sees these 2 guys, Darkfire and Torment, who, as we saw in the group stages of RLCS last season, walked in for the group for stage 2 and dominated. He sees them and says, "Wow, well, I have a much better shot." And we're seeing roster changes left and right up, and I think we're going to keep seeing them until Season 2 starts. But he saw that opportunity and took it, and I think that's the right decision.
I can't say I blame the guy.
Opportunity.
Can't say I blame the guy, but it was just kind of a shock because I saw him play so well. In fact, we've got a Twitch clip that I'll clip on Twitter again after this, of him hitting a ridiculous angle shot, and then our streamer at the time, Gabe, who's in here, got to give him a little bit of love here, because he decided to switch scenes, and you just see me back in my chair like this as he hits the shot. Or no, I'm sorry, it was like this. He blew me back like this, and I just like called for the touchdown. It was pretty awesome. But it was kind of a shock. Do you know Findable with Skies and Epic Johnny? Have you seen them play around?
I haven't, but I do want to make a comment on like a lot of the roster swaps and a lot of the players.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of opinion that can go into this, and I mean anything I'm about to say, like I definitely mean it in the best of ways. But a lot of this scene is very young, And maturity and is something that is going to come throughout the scene's lifetime. What a lot of people do are they don't know how to deal with a loss at all. They do poorly, and they're like, well, I can find someone to do better. I'm sure I can find someone to actually do better than this, or I can find a team that's doing better. So let's say Squishy, but they also want they want to find carries. They want everyone to be gods. They want everyone to just be amazing. So Squishy, like you said, he played really well with the other two players that he was with, but he probably felt like a carry, and he felt like he was just getting dragged along, or like getting dragged down a bit by the other two people. Now whether that's right or wrong doesn't really matter, because people forget, like Rocket League, I've seen so many teams come in and out, and it's not really just about who can carry. It's about everyone filling the correct role and being able to play either all the roles together or help the person that's really good at one specific role play what he wants. So now that Squishy's with two other players that are very strong and very prominent players, he has to hope that his playstyle is not going to clash with theirs. Squishy comes from a ones background, and I've seen this a lot. A lot of people with ones background struggle in threes because they lose a lot of the patience. They don't have the faith and the trust in their teammates, like knowing they're going to be in certain places as much as somebody that started in threes. Now, obviously, they did pretty well, but it's a matter of sticking with it. As you see, we see iBuyPower flopping up and down. We saw they didn't even make it very far in this Rocket Royale, and they were playing with their full roster, I assume, right? They were playing with Over Zero.
Yes.
Everyone asks, like, are they going to stick with Over Zero? Are they going to stick with him? And I don't know. I think Over Zero showed fantastically the RLCS. Prior to that, he hadn't really. I think he's a great player.
I'll buy that. Yeah.
I think the RLCS brought a lot out in him, and consistency is something that everyone has struggled with in Rocket League. So the fact that they've got him on it still, which is great. I'm glad they trust him, and I think it's something that people finally need to start doing, is just digging through their lows. They won't dig through it. Squishy Muffins, he's like, well, I see something better, I'm going to go for it. When in reality, he might have been better off with the team that knew how he played and let him do his thing.
So Findable, I mean, I'd like to get your opinion on something then, because it's something that we've alluded to on previous episodes. But it's very easy to forget how young this scene is. I mean, this game's been out for just over a year. That is not a long time. And what we're not seeing in the scene is we're seeing because there's only three players on a team as well. It makes it very easy to just form a team and then just shake it about all the time. And what we don't see is the support structure that you see with like CS:GO teams and League of Legends teams and that kind of thing, where they're going to have a manager, they're going to have a coach, and they have those people, that support structure that actually, keeps their heads up after a loss and gets them practicing together and really thinking about the game on a more meta level than just like mechanics and how did we do in this one occasion. So would you say that that's just something that's going to come with time as the scene kind of matures?
I think that's going to come with time, mostly because it's going to come with money. I mean, you can't really have a coach or somebody there unless there's a reason for a coach to be there. And right now, players are struggling to find reasons sometimes to continue to be players, because like money is going to come in. But people do underestimate how long this esport's been around. I mean, the esport itself's only been around for like 4 months, 5 months tops. You know what I mean? Like
fair. That's fair.
That's almost nothing. And like people are like, they keep, there was a post on Reddit today of someone like comparing us constantly to, Overwatch is yeah, but it's run by a multi-billion-dollar company
Blizzard.
that's just going to throw as much money as it wants.
Yeah.
Like you can't compare us to anything. Not only are we our own brand new genre, so we have no, like we don't even have people that can come in from a game that's been around forever, like CS:GO, right? CS:GO's not that old in the scheme of things. It's a relatively new game. But everyone from other FPSs just came and, jumped in it, because FPS has been around for a while, and if you're fantastic at one, you'll probably be pretty good at another. Same with Overwatch. It's filled with a bunch of pros from other FPS games. Yeah, TF2 pros, and it's filled with TF2, and I'm sure CS:GO pros have hopped over there, and Halo pros, people that already know the dynamic of first-person shooters. And there's money for coaches, there's sponsorships, there's like all these things going on. So once sponsorships happen, first of all, contracts are going to lock teams together, which is good. Coaches will hopefully be able to be funded, which would be great as well. People like Quinn Lobdell, people that don't exactly want to stick around as much, potentially like Low Five, people that have, or Rizzo, who I know always battles with being competitive or not. They can hopefully find a role as maybe like a coach or some sort of support role, like you said, CS:GO. But people still really do underestimate the length this game has been around. And in the last few months, everyone's like, like the skill ceiling is still being raised, but it's slowed down significantly. When you see random teams like Momentum show up and just start wrecking face, and I'd never even heard of them pretty much until I had only seen Miho in ladder system, and I'd only heard of JNaps and I can't even think of the third right now.
Well, JNaps was former Lucky Bounce.
J-Naps was former on Lucky Bounce, but like he's still PS4 player. You always just kind of shrug him off.
Yeah.
Dapper, I always knew Dapper was good, but he never really like broken that top 10.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Momentum's like top 5, like immediately. They're like, we don't give a crap. We're just gonna wreck everything in front of us. And I've casted them so many times in Gamersaloon, and it blows my mind how skilled they are. Like they remind me a lot of like old Weedham girls, like their playstyle.
Yeah.
They're just they all fill a role. They're super hard passes, redirects all over the place. They're accurate as hell. They don't mess around. So and that's gonna keep happening. So everyone's like frustrated, like I've been playing this game for a whole year and I've never gotten paid for it. It's like, can you really say that? Like some games were like esports for years before people got any more than $100 for like, and we already have a $250,000 prize pool.
Yeah.
5 times bigger. I love it.
It's insane. Like it's massive.
Yeah, I'm really excited about where the Rocket League scene is headed, because the thing is, like you said before, it has not been around a long time. It has the potential to even eclipse that of, say, a League of Legends esports team. Like RLCS, the LAN, put us in the top spot of Twitch, which hasn't happened, I don't think, in my mind, ever, has it?
Hard to say.
Never even come close.
When BlizzCon's on, you see League of Legends get displaced. But nobody else really displaces League of Legends.
But,
like the international displaces it. Like so, for us to achieve the kind of viewership on Twitch that is comparable to like BlizzCon events and the international, it's insane to me. I love that weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
For our first live LAN.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
Just to give you guys an idea, so like we keep track of all this mostly because like we're super so excited. Like and I'm in touch with Cloud, who's like runs that Twitch pretty much.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Our peak before that weekend in the RLCS was in qualifier 1 at like 26,000. That was the best we'd ever gotten, and we freaked out. We're like, oh my god, we broke 20K. We're like, oh my god, we broke 25K. We freaked out, right? We blew our minds. And that was in qualifier 1. We couldn't even recreate it in qualifier 2, mostly because our system was a little tough, and we had a lot of stuff competing with us almost every weekend of qualifier 2. There was almost always an event going on. But the fact that, and I'm going to be honest, my prediction was if we were lucky, we'd break 40,000. That was my prediction. People, like higher ups, like predicted even less than I did. Like people that like had like legitimate.
Well, my predictions were less than that. I was thinking maybe 30,000. Like
and I was like, Cloud was optimistic at 55. I think is what he said it was.
I was assuming finals would bring in like 40, and in day 1 we broke 67,000. And day 2 we broke 88,000 at our peak. So I mean, like you said, like the fact that we did that, I think we were number 1 both days, at least for a little bit, which is just broken. Like that shouldn't happen. And that was huge for us. I mean, that's what catches the eye of sponsorships. That's what catches the eye of like all the gaming orgs, like all the production companies. Everyone sees what we're doing, and they're like, oh my god, these guys. And they look at us as casters, like these guys have never been on anything before. And we're able to draw the crowd in. Our game's able to draw the crowd in. Our teams are able to draw the crowd in. Like all this together makes for just an incredible first season. And people, I get it. I get the impatience of like being a player. Like it's so hard for me to keep going. Do I sign up for classes this semester, or do I just go in and just hope for the best? I mean, it's a true struggle. I mean, who is it? Turtle was fighting with whether he should do homeschooling or not, so he can stream more and be on his own schedule. If he should do regular schooling, and he battled with it. He's like, I kind of want to have real life friends. But this is something I want to go ahead.
I think it's the issue of potential, but it's not because it's not certain.
Yeah, it's a risk.
Well,
you're taking a leap of faith.
I'm going to interrupt real quick with Wavepunk in the chat. So shout out to Wave because he's mentioned that Vendetta had moments of brilliance. Obviously, he was casting it, so he's the one who knows. But he's also implying that Rocket League isn't a real esport in the chat right now. What's that about, Wave?
I think we're kind of taking that out of context.
There we are. But
we've all talked to Wavepunk, and finally you've obviously met him. The thing
several
is,
times, just a few times,
just a few,
once or twice.
Yeah. But I mean, he says that that real esports have age limits, and for most it's 18. He's not indicating that we're not a real esport. He's just saying we differentiate from the crowd.
Well, I don't know if you guys are following along. Somebody was talking about why.
Scrub Killer
allowed to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've actually talked, me Wave, we've all spoken to the higher ups at Psyonix or about like, the battle they fought trying to lower that age limit. I mean, you can't go lower than like most are 18 because one, they're mature games.
Yeah.
Like, they're rated M for mature.
Like
for
Call
sure.
of Duty, CS:GO. You
So you
physically
just
can't
can't.
endorse people
Rated
for
game.
under the age. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also logistically, like legal wise,
Yeah.
just
Child
can't
labor
go-
laws, visas, the
child
whole
labor
thing.
laws, and then like bringing in like it's hard enough that now they have to fly out like guardians and parents every single time
Right.
these things happen, and those have to get involved whenever money's involved.
Mhm.
I mean, imagine being 15 and winning 30 grand. Like,
Yeah.
what? Or
For
even
for example, we have to give a shout out to RL Mama.
Oh,
Yeah. Our old
Luci-
mama.
Lucinio's mom. Yeah. I mean, if Gibbs is the father of the scene, then I think Lucinio's mom is now the mom of the scene. Is that not how it works? So...
I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Yeah.
She's slowly becoming it.
She's
Um,
accepting her role.
But yeah, and what's cool is actually they flew Scrub out to the RLCS, which is really cool of them to do. And,
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I knew he was there, but
Yeah,
I didn't know that
I got to meet him.
out.
Yeah, I got to meet Scrub. I mean, he's,
Oh, wow.
he's adorable and just so nice and super well mannered.
Mhm.
And he was actually really mature about just the whole age thing. Like, he was a little upset. Obviously, I know he really wanted to
Oh, yeah,
compete.
of
He's
course.
obviously like single-handedly one of the best 1v1 players in the world.
Mhm.
But he understood and he took it in stride. And for a 14-year-old or 13-year-old kid at the time, like, or was he 12 at the time?
I don't know.
Like, it was impressive to see.
Yeah, I think he was 12 at the time.
was
He's
12.
less than
For a
half
12
my age, and that's all I need to know.
Yeah, for a 12-year-old kid to talk about like that kind of thing, like to be able to handle that so well, I was like kind of floored. I'm like, wow, like, all
Well,
right,
especially with all the spotlight on him the whole time.
Product of a raise.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
is what he
Mhm.
is, and that's just it. Is, I mean, you know, a huge shout out to his parents for raising
Oh,
a
yeah.
kid that is not a complete a-hole.
And
So
you're getting called out on chat right now for making immature and inappropriate comments on your stream.
I've never done such a thing, dude. I
no, never.
have mine. Mine is rated E for everyone over 25.
I'm pretty sure you're not old enough to be on your stream, let alone anything
No, I'm
else.
not. No, I'm not.
That's awesome.
Well, moving right along,
Yeah.
I do want to take actually kind of a step back and what we were talking about with the Genesis Vendetta. So, what are your guys' feelings about this new Vendetta team? They looked powerful, and Wave, if you're still in there, feel free to,
Chime in.
elaborate on things that you saw while casting it. But they seemed like quite the powerhouse, and I know Pluto was, in my opinion, the whole reason Genesis won. He was, I mean, the Trump wall, as they were saying.
Yeah, but your opinion
No
is
goals
always that
scored.
Pluto is the reason Genesis won. It doesn't matter what
And-
actually happens.
This time I'm always right about that.
No, I would
this
agree with
time
that.
I'm more correct.
Wow. Okay.
No, I would agree with
I-
that. I mean, it was an intense series. I mean, Vendetta nearly took it. I mean, it was the closest series I think of the whole of the Rocket Royale that I saw on stream. And just Vendetta going into that final as well. They did not have that tough a semi-final, so there was a little bit of a question. I mean, certainly this was something that Wavepunk brought up, that they haven't been challenged yet. Like Airplay is a great team, but not on the same level as these guys. So see Vendetta come through and really take it to Genesis like that. I mean, it could have gone either way. I mean, a couple of lucky pinches in one or the other direction, we would have seen the score just flip right round, and it was a great watch. I mean, if you haven't seen this VOD and you're watching this, like, you might as well just turn this off and go watch that VOD. Don't actually do that, but you might as well.
Afterwards, you'll understand what we're talking about. But then also, I have a couple opinions on this Classics being played for Genesis. Now, we have no proof if this is what they are actually going to do as a replace for Quinn.
Strictly speculation at this point.
Yeah, and we do know that they have been looking at other players such as Chrome. And I think Classics would be a much better choice, seeing as Pluto has really stepped into his defensive man-back role, and we all know he's brilliant at those long shots. That's not even just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's fact.
There we go. Thank you. I have backing now.
Pluto's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's
But
probably one of the
Classics-
best players in NA right now, I would say.
Yes, I agree. And Classics he's always been kind of a solo queuer. And so I think the way he's been able to hold that up is by being a very offensive powerhouse. and we've been seeing Espeon kind of play a more defensive role recently. And it's, I think in order to really make it further in this next RLCS Season 2, they're going to need to have Espeon and Classics play that offensive role. And I think we've seen now that they can put their faith in Pluto as a defensive man, and it's going to make Espeon a little bit more willing to do what Espeon does and just play off of Classics. I mean, and I think I really do want them to put Classics on their roster.
I do. I mean, just like a quick aside, I guess, or I guess to continue along with what you're saying. So Classics, I've watched Classics play a lot. The guy can ball chase better than I've seen anyone ball chase before. I'm not calling him a ball chaser, but if you need someone, but I'm saying if you need someone to just be there to contest everything, he's incredibly good at it. He can follow that ball wherever it goes. He's always in the way. He can always body block things. Espeon, as I'm sure everyone knows, if you follow him on Twitter or if you ever watch him on stream, he has severe confidence issues. I love him to death, but he always doubts himself and he thinks he sucks, which is hard to watch. Like, I love him to death. He's a super nice guy, and I think he's incredible at the game. He was like one of the first non-veteran players that really caught eyes on people like Kronovi and other people that are like, this Espeon guy, he's gonna be someone, and he is. Now he's on a top 4 team. He made it to the LAN, and even for a guy who thinks he sucks, he made it to LAN. Like, Espeon, get your head out of your ass. Come on, man.
Those aerial touches, like Espeon, every time he goes up in the air, just waiting for magic, and magic always happens. It's great.
And this is kind of going back with what I was saying, where it's not just about having a carry; it's about having people that whose playstyles complement each other. Like you said, you have Pluto, one of the best defensive players, even if he doesn't want to be called it, he is. Then you have, like you said, Espeon. He can take passes from almost anywhere. Like, it's kind of insane. And he can put almost anything on the net. He's an incredibly good striker. And like I said, Classics can just always body the ball. He's really good at keeping in the opponent's half, getting in the way, and getting passes off to people. He can strike it as well, and he's got really good 1v1 sense. But overall, he's just a menace. And that's where I think Genesis, prior, when they had Quinn, they were slower to the ball. They were trying to be more methodical, which worked to an extent, but I think it just kind of fell short when you were playing against really fast teams like iBuyPower or stuff like that. And you saw them turn it on Mock It EU in the RLCS. Yeah. Where they lost the first 2 games. They were about to be out. They saw what they were doing wrong. They changed it, and they ended up winning the next 3, which I think works to an extent. But now that they have the speed of Classic, someone who's just always in the way, Espeon can feel more confident in coming up, and Pluto can do what Pluto's always done and just be nuts.
Exactly. Well, I think the Espeon Classics duo in offense is a great balance, because Espeon is amazing at improvising.
Yeah,
he's able to read off of other people, and as you said, confidence issues. If you have watched a stream, you do know that it's very apparent.
Classics is like Lachinio level of up in their face interruptions, and the ball just comes flying out, and Espeon reads it and just takes it away, and it was fantastic to watch.
It's like it is like an iBuyPower team that is not just going to solo queue when they play, but is actually going to play.
I do enjoy this topic. However, we are at this point running down on time, so I want to give these next couple topics the appreciation they deserve. And we're going to go over results from, and I believe Carpet, you were there for.
You guys time yourselves? You guys time yourselves?
We put it to close to an hour as we can. Yes, absolutely.
One of us.
You're too professional for me. I don't want to think you're.
Want to talk a little bit about Gamersaloon from the 26th. The 3 results that are mentioned. KOU.
Did you mean the 25th? You meant the 25th.
Sorry, I'm blind. Don't mind me. Exodus 3, Lucky Bounce 2, and then Momentum over 2 Easy 3-0. Carpet, you were there, I believe, for that. What did you see out of that particular night?
Well, the Momentum 2 Easy game, I wasn't surprised. Momentum has
they beat
I don't think anybody was. They dominated everybody, and 2 Easy has struggled a lot. I don't think they have a single win yet. That would have been potentially their first. And you said Exodus and
Lucky Bounce 3-2 to Exodus.
And Lucky Bounce 3-2. Exodus kind of started to fall. They have yet to lose a single series in Gamersaloon, which is really cool. Because I know they're a team that also struggles a bit with confidence. They're a very young team, like player-wise. They're all really young. I'm guessing Turtle and Garrett, they're both like just on that cusp of not being able to compete almost. Yeah. Garrett, I think, is 15.
What a partnership those two are. I mean, those two together are just, oh man.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And I've known Turtle for a long time, back when he was on Turbulence, like
Oh, wow.
7-8 months ago when he was with J-Raw, and they never had a third for the longest time. They kept bouncing from third to third because him and J-Raw played so well. J-Raw sadly wasn't able to keep up. He had real life stuff, so he just wasn't able to keep up the skill as Turtle was.
Yeah.
This is life. What are you talking about?
He had fake life things to do.
IRL in Rocket League. But
Yeah.
IRL.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah, go ahead.
And then what was the last result? Last result was
Kings
one
of
was
Urban.
KOU and Genesis 3-1 to KOU.
Well, what about Get Mercked and I by Power? You guys didn't see that.
That was I had to leave the stream. That felt like cancer to my eyes.
It was bad. No, it was bad.
I'm sorry.
No. I tried to leave the stream too, but they wouldn't let me. No, it was really bad. We're actually going to have to do that every week because Market left, so we're going to have to do that every week.
We are going to make this quick, but I do want to shout out Agony in the chat here. Reason being is because he did bring up a pretty good point about momentum.
Yes.
Momentum we've seen in the last couple of weeks has actually been one of the more inconsistent teams in the pro scene.
Can we read Wavepunk's comment and reply though? I think this was fantastic.
It hasn't. Wavepunk, and he says momentum drop a series equals stagnant. The problem is it hasn't just been a series. They've had early exits in other tournaments as well. For example, Shift 2 weeks in a row, I do believe. They did win this last one, which gives me a nice indication they might be getting back on track.
Is Shift is 3v3 or 2v2?
3v3.
That is 3v3? Okay.
Yep. But ultimately, I mean, especially after RLCS, they kind of hit a wall, or after the LAN and going the first couple weeks after that, they kind of hit a wall and were dropping series and letting teams in that really shouldn't have been competing with them.
Well,
Part of that was due to roster changes and not seeing a consistent lineup, I think. But is there any more to that, or do you think? And I'll actually direct this at you, Stone, if you wanted to contribute here. You think that's going to be a rhythm going forward, or just something that's going to hit them right now?
Well, okay, so we did talk about it last week on our show about their whole roster issues that they're having right now. And I'm going to stick with what I was saying in that the biggest issue is we had the original roster for Momentum being Timmy, What's Up Miho, and Dapper, I believe. I could be incorrect.
That's right.
But
that's right.
The issue is Timmy was not able to play for quite some time. They replaced him with J-Naps, who was a better fit for their team, and we started to see them throw in their subs, and then we started to see Timmy show up again, and this is when we started to see their level of play drop. And so I think they do need to solidify who their starters are going to be, and I believe it should be Miho, J-Naps, and Dapper.
I completely agree with that.
In Gamersaloon this week, I believe they played Thruster, and I know there was
a plethora of names that he came out with.
Yeah,
Right.
it, almost getting them to almost giving Too Easy the win off of default. That's a little disappointing. I'd love to see a little bit more professionalism, but that's fine.
It's Tuster. He was a sub. He doesn't count.
Yep.
Exactly. Nothing against Momentum. Love the team.
Yeah.
What's something against Tuster? Stop being Tuster.
Stop being Tuster. But
That's funny.
it was. I think it all comes down to they need to solidify their roster. That's the only thing we really need. And as soon as they do that, which I believe will happen before the next RLCS, once they start to take it more seriously, they're in a we're in a lull right now.
In a flux, as it were. Yep, I agree.
So,
I agree.
Something
ahead,
before we go ahead, and we're showing a lot of love for the NA, but just to bring up EU, can we talk about can we talk about Willy Wonka poodles for a second? Because these guys
talk about them and let me know who they are, please.
Right. Okay. So this is Violent. This is Violent Panda's team. He's got Siki and Devo with him. Okay.
Ooh.
Right. They took
like.
out 3-0 Aeriality, 3-0 Calnos. They lost 2-1 to Awesome Bandits, 3-0 Firewall, 3-0 Complex, and then 4-3 to Aeriality in the finals of Rocket Royale. So these guys have just come out of nowhere, and I haven't actually caught up on that VOD yet, which I feel really bad for because I only got onto Rocket Royale when NA had already started. But we got to find out who these guys are. And by the way, great name, Willy Wonka Poodles.
Yeah,
perfect timing.
Good.
Yeah, I mean
that's pretty good.
because we need more ridiculous names in the top level.
So you said it was
So they
Violent Panda,
Siki and Devo.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Devo is, Devo was on a team with Tinny a while ago. They were on Zero Effort, who made it into group stage. He went by Devo or Dave. He'd swap between the two. He never made up his mind. I actually thoroughly loved that team. I know they were super underdogs. They struggled a lot in group stages. They didn't get a single
consistency issues for sure.
The consistency issues. They did some really fun stuff when they were in PPL, where they would sub someone out mid-series, because we actually allowed it for Pro Sub Premier League.
All right.
Like, well, if you want to, as long as they're on your roster, why not?
Yeah.
Even if no one was having connection issues, or even playing that poorly,
Oh,
they
just
would put
to
some
meta mix it up strategy stuff.
and it was so cool. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it never really worked against them, I should say. But sometimes they just took off.
Yeah.
Because now someone who's been watching their team lose or struggle, he just comes in knowing what's going wrong. It's almost like this weird kind of metagame where you have like a coach kind of watching and seeing what's happening, and then just comes in and tries to fix the mistakes.
Pinch hitter
but
comes
also
in.
as a player. I've always loved those guys. I thought it was Tinny, Devo, and Kilik, I want to say, but maybe not.
I do like this. We're gonna move on over to something that has to be talked about. Seeing as how you're here, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. RLCS Season 2.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 questions for you, and both of them are going to require a little bit of conversation. So let's see what we can do. First one is, what are you looking most forward to for RLCS Season 2?
Well, it's a brand new structure, which as someone that's always had to explain to the entire world how it works, I think this will be a little easier for people to understand. We're not doing the 2 qualifier anymore.
Okay.
I don't believe. I'm actually I'm not even fully caught up, to be honest. I know I will be. I'm just giving it time. You know, I'm still letting RLC Season 1 settle in because I can feel it. I'm excited to see the turnout, mostly because after the end of Season 1, I think we got a lot of new people. I mean, 88,000, we'd never even come close. I mean, we were barely even at a fourth of that at our peak.
Yeah.
Not even scratching the surface, though.
Yeah, and I think if you see how many people actually tuned in, like overall the entire weekend, like individually,
it was
like,
over
800,000 different, over a million, right?
Over 1 million unique views was what's
over
said.
1 million unique views over that weekend, which is insane.
Wow.
Like that's like that breaks everything we've ever done by like a huge margin. So I'm curious to know people following along, like how that's going to go. Also with potential sponsorships coming in, you know, big orgs, they're going to want to be coming in. Everyone saw how Season 1 went. I'm sure some of them are still a little tentative because you want to hope that it keeps growing, and I get it. I mean, every org almost waits.
Season 3.
Blizzard.
Season 3 is where the sponsors are going to happen. Yeah, if it's a Blizzard property, then everybody just dives on it. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, they know Blizzard's going to dump millions into it anyway, so they're never going to lose money. They just might not make as much.
Yeah, right.
By the way, Wave called you out and said that you're looking forward to his face. Any other answer is a lie.
That's true. I do miss his tall face. It's way above me.
Are you looking right at the belt buckle whenever you stand next to us?
Oh, wow. Is 12 foot or am I 2? I guess if you ask anyone in my chat, I'm 2. Yeah, if you ask anyone in my chat, I'm 2.5 feet tall.
I will say that since I started watching Wave's stream, I have noticed that he has very, very long arms. I mean, that man has been stretched at some point, like a Stretch Armstrong back in the day. You remember those?
It's insane, yeah.
1990s called. They want their toy back.
Right? Yeah. Don't worry, the whole audience for Rocket League didn't get that joke. That's just us.
Great.
But yeah, as far as like, well, I guess just other than just like to see the new viewership and to see people being interested in it, to see how teams deal with it second time around. Because the first time around it was brand new. Everyone was dealing with playing on such a large stage, playing for money, and now we've seen the end goal. Everyone knows I want to go to that LAN. That was insane. Yeah. Everyone that didn't go. Stage. Yeah. Yeah, and it was like such a great. And everyone that was there, they want to be back more than anything. Yeah. They loved it. I mean, they got to meet all these people. Like you got to hang out. They were there for like 5 days in California. They all befriended each other. It was so cool seeing like all these teams that were about to try and fight to the death. Yeah. We're just like hanging out playing Pokemon Go, wandering around, and then like playing Rocket League in the rooms. Like it was a really crazy experience, and I think everyone that wasn't there, especially, is like, I need to take one of those guys down and be there instead.
I've spoken to Doomsy about that. He said to me that was the worst thing about missing by 5 points was not getting to go to the LAN. Like they didn't even care about competing at the LAN. It was the fact that they couldn't go.
Yeah.
So
really quick, because I want to just get a quick opinion of the Doomsy video going after Kernovian, because I know you've seen it. It was absolutely brilliant.
It was so good. I can't even begin to explain how good it was. I was so proud of him. I thought it was cool. I thought it was done.
Yep.
It wasn't done in malice. It was just funny.
yeah,
It
was just good.
I demand for it in chat.
When I
think
practice my judo, my black belt in karate. Well, when I play jujitsu.
He did a great job. I thought it was fantastic.
Going back to serious discussion, though, the biggest thing, and we talked about it a little bit at length last week, the biggest thing personally that I'm looking forward to is actually seeing how high the skill ceiling gets, adding in the new maps for the competitive scene. You have Neo Tokyo, you have, and Wasteland was already there, but the fact that the Neo Tokyo,
you have to play
those
them
two
now.
side ramps make this an entirely different ball game. How do you see that playing into the season?
I imagine it's going to be banned most of the time. Although I think it's picks, you can't even do bans.
Yeah, ooh. I don't think based on the rules, I don't think there are bans.
I think it'll be picked more frequently than Wasteland was. I think it's still going to be rare to see, because most teams, if they can, like even just from doing Gamersaloon, I can tell almost everybody tries to ban Neo Tokyo. But it's a good counter pick. That was good.
This is a challenge. It's okay.
It's a good counter pick for a team that you know would probably beat you in the speed game. Because everyone complains like, oh, it slows the game down, slows the game down. It does to an extent because everyone's still learning how to read the bounces. But I think once you understand like it's about to hit that ramp and go there, and if people are already up and ready for them, people can still play that game at fast pace at high skill levels. So I think it's gonna add an extra dynamic. Plus, I think it's great for viewership. People love seeing new things. I think just the same map after the same map for someone that's a little more Pounder Kick 2016. Thanks, Jado. I think it's great for like very casual viewers as well. Seeing a new map and like, oh wow, like something different's gonna happen. How are they gonna approach this? I actually love Neo Tokyo more. It's actually literally it beats standard. I'd rather play Neo Tokyo than standard. I'm not even kidding. I think it's fantastic. I love the kind of gameplay that it promotes.
That makes one of us.
Yeah, that makes literally one. I'm one ever.
I love Neo Tokyo. It's my favorite map in the game. I'm not even kidding, because the thing is that Neo Tokyo exposes so much more of the systems in the game in terms of if you leave the ground without jumping, you can use your dodge anytime. I cannot wait to see what people who are just fantastic in the air, like people like Espeon, are going to do with that if they are forced to play on Neo Tokyo. And I really hope that teams are training on it and using that to break the chain in the series, and like you say, using it as a pounder kick to take out to use that to their advantage to break the enemy team's concentration, play more of a psychological game, and really expose the other skills that you can build within the systems that are there.
So the new meta for Neo Tokyo, if any pros are listening, let's see if we'll give Silent a bet here to see if that's what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna change some things for season 2. It adds a new wrinkle, to say the least. Not just with the format, but also I want to see what these pros can do. I think I've only actually casted one game in an actual tournament format on Neo Tokyo, so I'm actually really excited to see where it goes.
So I know I think I'm the only one who doesn't cast anymore out of this group. But what do you guys feel about casting for those maps?
I love it.
I mean, it makes it more unpredictable. Yeah. I mean, it makes things harder to predict for a caster, which absolutely can be a nightmare. But it also it makes things more entertaining, not just for the viewers, but also for us. The thing is this game, we are casters, yes, but we're also fans of it. We enjoy a good, entertaining game as much as the viewers enjoy a good, entertaining game. So, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say that. So to see something like a new wrinkle like Neo Tokyo added is an absolute godsend instead of just doing the standard maps all the time.
Look at StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 map rotations change all the time, and the tactics that work on one map do not work on another map. There's some maps you can cannon rush if you're a Protoss, then there's other maps that you can Zerg rush but you can't cannon rush, and there's all kinds of different cheese strategies that come up around a specific map, and then those get picked and counter-picked because of those strategies existing in certain matchups. And I'm really excited to see the map pool increase in size and see more non-standard maps coming through, so that the two that we have don't stand out as much and people can stop moaning about it and get on with playing the game.
Yeah,
I'll continue to moan about it.
Yeah. Well, so and I guess I'm just going to use my slight position here to give you guys some information you don't know. So I'm part of like a bunch of group chats with a lot of the top players.
Yeah.
I've seen discussions of like, or just in general, I've just talked to them. Most top players want dynamics. They want new maps, especially people that came from Sarp. They used to have all these weird maps. There was like a map that was on a friggin' pirate ship. There was a map that literally looked like a soccer field, where like the goals were not in the walls; they were actually outside.
Oh
like,
wow! Okay, I'm
they
interested in
looked like a
that.
net, and like the back of the net was angled, so you can actually go behind it and fling it off the net if you wanted to.
Stop it! I can't get this excited on a PC show.
Yeah, and if you think about what that would change, like you can't just slam into a corner and hope it centers anymore. Like Wasteland, you're gonna have to actually dribble it to the center and pass it to somebody.
Yep.
Or take it off the back wall a large margin over the net into somebody's bumper until they can slam it in. So most of the top players generally want map dynamics. I think the ones that have maybe flip-flopped a bit are now when they're realizing it's getting tough and they want to win. And they want to win RLCS. They're like, no, don't change it up on me. I'm getting close to winning now. But I think for the longevity of this as an esport, it's perfect because it'll, like you said, then we can slowly start introducing new maps as things go on. Like League of Legends. Why is that so fun? Because every so often they can add an entire new champion that just changes the whole game. You know what I mean? Or
Same
it
with
can change
other MOBAs,
the meta.
like an Overwatch or something like that.
Or Dota, Overwatch, adding Ana,
adding heroes. Exactly. Yep.
You can, and that'll change up the pro play as well. That'll help, add more dynamic to the game. The meta will slowly start shifting towards something else when a player, even if they're like, I don't want to say overpowered, but they've got something much more strong than another. So when you start bringing in new maps, it actually will increase the longevity of the interest in Rocket League. It's like, here next month they're putting out this crazy octagon-shaped map. Why? What's going on? And they're going to put it into pro play. I mean, what I do like about Psyonix, though, is they don't just dump things into the competitive scene.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
Like, I think people complain about, I don't know what company does it. One of the FPSs, I think Activision. I don't want to drop names in case I'm wrong. But they'll make a new map and then just throw it in their competitive play. Yeah. And force they won't even let people vote on it or give them time. They're just they literally release a patch as the tournament starting and they'll put it in the tournament. And it was like, what? Like, this is stupid. So what I like Psyonix is they're slowly putting it in. Right? Neo Tokyo's been out for some time. Yeah. Wasteland had been out for quite some time as well before they allowed it in.
I mean, shameless self-plug here, but my most successful YouTube video got 3,000 views, and it was a direct comparison of the changes from Underpass before the June 19th update to Neo Tokyo. Because the thing is that Underpass, as it was in Rocket Labs, is not what Neo Tokyo is. They rounded off a lot of the corners. They changed a lot of things about it. They made it have a much better flow. So even though people complain about it being a slow map, it's actually not slow. It's just that, like you said, it takes people time to learn how to read the map and then play at the same pace. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I do not think for a second that people as confident in the air like Espeon and people like that are not going to learn to read those bounces and be up just as quick to be there waiting for it and do some weird freestyle thing off the ceiling or whatever. It's that will 100% happen. So. That's exactly it. Like, I love the way Psyonix just pull it into Rocket Labs. We all get to play with it. They get the feedback from, the people who know what they're talking about in terms of mechanical skill and just general high-level play. They see what's going on in Reddit. Thankfully, they ignore a lot of what's said on Reddit so that these maps actually stay in the ranked playlists when they come out. But they do understand what's important and what decisions to make about their game, and I absolutely support every decision that I've seen them make so far.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you look at the major differences from map to map, they're not that drastic. I mean, the only thing different about Neo Tokyo is the corners are different. And there's platforms on the side now. When you really think about it, it's not like they made it hourglass shaped and did crazy things. Like Pillars is insane.
Pillars is crazy.
But I think it's awesome because it changes the way you have to approach things. You can cut people off. You can do all these crazy things. You can be caught in the wrong section of the map and you can't go get the ball.
I think it was. This is a question for you, Findable. Have you tried casting a game just for casting practice? I tried to cast a game on Pillars, and it was absolutely awful.
I couldn't imagine.
Autocam is not good enough to be able to cast Pillars effectively.
Not at all. Not at all. You need to have a good streamer for sure who's going to be able to get those buttons in to be able to make sure the viewers can even keep up with what's going on, because AutoCam is just awful for that map.
Yeah.
Well, I think the greatest idea I've heard about Pillars was from Wavepunk. He was saying what we need to do now is take that map, put some minions in, and we now have a Rocket League MOBA.
Right?
It's a million dollar idea.
Million
Beat
dollar.
League of Legends every day.
Dude, instant
Hey,
two esports in one.
If Overwatch can have Lucio Ball, then we can sure as hell have Rocket League MOBA.
Rocket League of Legends. Rocket League Legends.
Yeah.
Rocket League of Legends.
Rocket of Legends.
That sounds absolutely
The
awful.
League of Rockets.
League of Rockets, I like that. Yeah, there we go.
The League of Over Rockets.
League of Over Rockets.
And that's a good point from
Yes.
Wavepunk, actually. Pillars is the first map with block sightlines. So one of the things I always say about Rocket League is that this is a game where you have complete visibility, you have total information. You can, no matter where you are on the map, manipulate your camera so that you can see anything that's happening anywhere. And Pillars is the first map where that's not true.
Yeah,
That's fair.
and it's very interesting just at the parts of like what that's going to do to positioning. Now that might be a slower map because you're going to have to really be careful where you position, or maybe not, because like you can really you can act like you're going into the middle and then you go right, and now this guy he can't get you. He has to go all the way back to net and hopefully meet you there, and you can do a lot more. I imagine that map would be pretty crazy in 2v2, but 3v3 just in general. But like I said, like having dynamic maps and everything, I support it fully as both a player and a caster. I just think it just adds more longevity to people wanting to play the game. Most viewers and most players will get bored, and if you add something new, maybe they'll get better. Maybe they'll be like, oh wow, I'm good at this map. But the moment people aren't perfect at a map, they're like, this sucks, I'm so bad at it and I never want to play it again.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious if maps like Pillars will now create more 1v1 situations, and we're going to see teams now with a new meta when they are playing Pillars throw their sub in who is more of a 1v1
that's an
player
interesting
rather
one.
than positional play.
Yeah, tech strategy
point.
choice. You know, you have like your Pashis who come in because specifically they can create situations where they can use those 1v1 mechanical
Or Poshy,
skill.
as Agony calls them. That's for you, Agony.
Let's stick to Pashi, shall we?
Stop, Agony. God.
Please. But yeah, I mean, Wavepunk pointing out that the MOBA thing came up because Rumble introduces spells. We haven't actually talked about Rumble on this podcast properly yet.
We probably should. Yeah,
So should we take a minute, because that's going to be soon now. We
I
are very
think all
nearly
of
in
our-
September.
Well, we spent a good time on it last time, sharing all our opinions. So Carpet, we'll let you go first. What do you think of Rumble?
I think it looks really cool. Everyone, there's a lot of salt when the announcement happened. They're like, I was hoping it was more competitive, blah blah blah. But people forget, like, Psyonix doesn't ever need to put out a new game mode ever, and they keep putting out new game modes just because. They also don't understand how game developers work. They assumed, like, oh, Psyonix put out a new game mode, that means the whole office was just working on Rumble this whole time. Like, that's not at all how it works. You have a portion of people working on things for competitive play, and then a portion of people working on other stuff. The other stuff, people made this just because they wanted to, and you're still bitching about it.
I've got a friend who actually digs through the game files all the time, exposes it. There's like 29 modes hidden in the game, including a 5v5 volleyball mode.
Oh, you have no idea, and half that is just them, like,
yeah, it's just them trying
spitballing
stuff
and
out.
throwing
Yeah,
things out.
yeah.
And that's like a whole department that's just dedicated to that, and that keeps average people. That brings in new people. There might be people that only see Rumble and are like, I want to buy this game. That looks crazy. And never actually owned Rocket League prior to Rumble because they more like the minigame style stuff. Maybe they just like the kind of more arcadey, silly, ridiculous things. So now they're going to buy it. Yeah. Or maybe some people just want to take a break. Or maybe I want to do viewer games for once. Yeah. And viewer games drive me insane. But now Rumble will make it fun.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's going to double the audience.
Figured out.
I honestly think Rumble's going to double the audience of the game. I think there is literally, like, we've got 20 million players already. I think another 20 million are going to buy it just because Rumble looks amazing.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun, and I want to make a point to you that I made to you in person, Findable, that I think ultimately that your intoxicated games would be a whole lot more fun. But, however, your intoxicated games were a lot of fun, and I got to call you out for that backwards goal you did on your spoiler.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know, for any of you that have not seen
that clip is just incredible.
It was, I think it was actually reshared again today. It popped up on my Twitter feed again today.
I'm going to quote Wavepunk, right? Findable finished the game, we can all go home now.
I have one Rocket League. That was one of those just like, that actually worked. My God. And it was like of all people. And hearing Mike Rules tell me that's the craziest shot I've ever seen in my life. Like, that's just one of those moments you're like, Mike Rules just said that to me. Like, it was so cool. No, that was actually pretty insane.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch. I didn't get a chance to see it live, but I saw the Twitter.
Well, good, because that was a 10-hour stream of disaster.
And I'm gonna be selfish here, and I'm gonna take a minute just to ask what you thought of my camera settings earlier.
Me? Oh. Dude, that was pretty bad.
You nearly missed the whole ball cam. The whole ball cam was the hidden surprise on that one.
That killed me, dude.
Dude,
it actually wasn't as hard as... It was just like, all of a sudden, the kickoff would happen, and I just like tap it a million times, like, what's happening? And my camera's just going nuts. I'm like, oh crap, it's hold.
Well, I thought your ball cam was on Y when I said that, to be fair. Like, LB was cheating a little bit, I think.
Really quick, have to mention the obstacle course.
Oh, yeah.
NPC Jesse, thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
I love those. And I've been watching Low5 do all of them, and my background in gaming, my brothers got me started with the jump mods for Quake 4 or Quake 2.
Oh, wow.
Apologies.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is the smallest community in the world.
No, that was one of the biggest modded communities at the time, though.
And it is no longer.
No, it's not now, of course.
I will still play that occasionally.
Yeah.
I hold records. My brother holds more. But it makes me so excited because if you've seen some of them, it'll help with air dribbling. It's helping with a lot of in-game things that you wouldn't think it would. Mm-hmm. But I think what it's really doing is it's just bringing in more of the community, more people to the community.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it's a good practice ground. Like those obstacle courses are fantastic for practicing. I mean, I came this close to uninstalling the game when I watched Jazer freestyle all the way through one. Like literally freestyle all the way through, just like one cut. I'm like, no, you're not allowed.
You can't do that. It's strictly prohibited by Irish law.
Right? It's just not allowed.
I'm guessing you've gone through them, no?
I haven't yet, actually. I've been wanting to.
Wow.
I'm sure people would love to watch me drunkenly stumble through those.
Yes, please.
It's actually one of the few things I think I might be good at, because like I might have awful rank because I don't take things seriously, but I've still got 2,000 hours of flying that stupid car around. My mechanical skills are pretty high. So
that of the Challenger Elite. So.
Yeah. So I definitely do want to try and get through one of those. I haven't gotten to see the newer ones. I saw like the first few that came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if some crazy ones have been coming out since, but
they've been making more and more. It seems like that. They are.
I just put a film on and I went through like the first one that kind of came out, and I was just sat there watching Batman vs Superman, which isn't as bad as people said. I'm going to point out, this first time I watched it, wasn't it? I went in with no expectations. It was okay, but but I think a lot of what made it okay was that I was watching the Batmobile go around on there, and I'm flying my Batmobile through like the craziest like a vertical wheel thing, and oh man, it was nuts. Whoever came up with that and found out you could do it, it's crazy. Sorry? No, my utility belt was not equipped for that obstacle course. Ask me again when I have like a ninja rope when Rumble comes out.
From me to you, a request for you, Carpet, definitely work on doing that on stream, because it'd be really, really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I definitely.
And if you make a drinking game out of it, you get anybody you're playing with, as well as you, completely hammered in about an hour.
Yep.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, let's do that.
We now have the next stream. All right.
Let's make that happen, because that would be something I would subscribe to.
So,
sure.
Before we sort of wrap things up, I want to give you the floor, Carpet. Is there anything that you want to bring up over the last week of Rocket League that we haven't covered that you want to sort of share and discuss?
I mean, not particularly. I think definitely a lot of stuff's been going on. The roster changes are the biggest thing that's been happening. Mm-hmm. Just in general, both EU and NA.
Yeah.
The two things that I'm super excited to watch, only because I'm such a big fan of the people from the original Weedham Girls. I've actually been a big supporter of those guys since I first ran into them in the Pulse Premier League, when they were kind of becoming a bigger nuisance. Now with Greasy moving to Flipside Tactics, which is huge. With Mike Rules stepping down, first of all, which is really, really big.
Shout out to Greasy, by the way, for the first LAN goal.
Oh, right. Yeah. I was gasping. I'm like, my boy, it's Greasy.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Like, they're just all super nice guys. I mean, on both teams. And then it was funny because when Weedham Girls lost Greasy, I'm thinking, like, who are they gonna
Oh
Pashy,
yeah,
right?
Pashy.
Pashy,
Right?
right?
Who else?
no one else.
Yeah, that is-
No, I'm like
no one
seriously,
else.
like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. Like, no one else can keep up with that. Like,
no, not at
I
all.
know Patchy has struggled a lot with being on a team that will get him farther.
Mhm.
Only because, well, not really, not that he's the carry per se, but people that fit his playstyle.
Yeah.
But I think Weedham girls are all fast enough, and Patchy can just go ham.
Oh
and he's just
yeah.
going to be able to go as fast as he wants, as long as he understands to trust his teammates. And I think those are two guys he will inherently trust.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just insane. I mean, Maestro and Remco.
Remco's
They're
just
both-
the boss. I mean,
They're
He's
both.
ridiculous.
who else
I
can
can't
read
get
the
over it.
5th bounce off the backboard and put it in the net? I mean, seriously.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's. I know it's not really last week's talk, but that's definitely a talk that's definitely something I'm
General
excited
talk
about.
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
That's like for me because I love Greasy, so seeing him go to Flipside is really cool.
Mhm.
And I got a newfound love for all the Flipside boys when I got to meet him.
Yeah.
Cookseer is my new like fandom.
Hero.
Only because I didn't know much about him because he's his whole thing is that he never talks and he's a quiet
He
guy.
can
just
be
really
your
good.
hero, baby.
He was insane at the RLCS. He went off the wall.
Yep.
I've never seen anyone go so ham. He scored more goals than anyone else. He just went seriously crazy, and it was awesome. And he's just this like little guy.
Yeah.
Like he just looks like he looks kind of like intimidating, even though he's like kind of
Mhm.
small.
Yeah.
And he's just such.
He
a
looks
cool
like the
dude, so-
Asian dude from Hangover.
Well, I mean, right? Well, the thing is, like, I just love that bit where Marky Doodah's on the stage and he's doing a post-game interview and he's like, oh yeah, we just give it to Cooks in space, and then I'd like check Twitter, check my phone. It's just
Yeah.
hey, it's fine, he's good.
And they hadn't let him do that. Everyone talked about Cooks being like more defensive up until then, and I'm like, dude, let
Well-
Cooks do his thing. 'Cause
Oh,
Cooks
yeah.
is just a monster.
And driving the best
Aside-
car in the game as well, I'll point out, the Batmobile.
No.
Well, Cooks are back in the glory days of Flipside. Not that they are out of them, but back
Mhm.
when they were really, really like probably top in the world. Cookser was definitely, I think, the one in lead, and they were letting him do that. And then it seemed like, I'd probably like a month and a half before RLCS and up until LAN, they didn't let Cookser take the lead. Almost like they wanted people to forget that he was able to do that, and then brought it back in the LAN.
Yeah, and it's hard to say if it was like the other two players' fault or if maybe Cookseer was just not feeling so confident and didn't really want to go. Because I mean, when you have Mike Rules and Mikey Duda on your team, what are you gonna go take the ball from them?
Yeah, right.
It's not like you've got a weak player. You've got like three like monsters. So Cooks is probably is like, you guys are doing your job and I'm gonna do, and he still came in and did
Well, he's just
crazy
waiting for
stuff.
the graphical calculator to boot up so that he can like work out what he's gonna do
Yeah,
next.
It took him a month and a half. Yeah, it's so complex. It took a month to boot up, and then finally the day before the LAN, he's like, "All right, it's up."
Right, let's go.
We are a go. Operation TI-84 is a go.
Yeah.
With that said, I don't think we have any more that we can cover here. Ultimately, though, for those that have been here the entire time, thank you very much. We do this for the community and by the community because we love the community. This is the Rocket Powered Report. We go over weekly happenings and things in the Rocket League community, both in the pro scene and the mid-tier scene, things of that nature at different tournaments. I do want to just point you to our Twitter at Rocket Powered Rep, at FindableCarpet for that guy in the beard over there, and myself at RL_Curtis. We got Silent at SilentEcho UK, and then at Rock_Whisper. That just all came off the top of my head. I'm pretty good at that. Okay, cool. With that said, for Findable, thank you very much for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, first guest.
And
You took our cherry.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
this has been a lot of fun. And for the rest of the guys, Silent, Rock, I am Curtis. We are going to go ahead and say goodbye for now. Be back here again next week at 4:30 Eastern. That's a 9:30 for you plebs out in EU. And
1:30 for Rock out on Pacific.
Yep, absolutely. We will see you guys next time. And this has been the Rocket Powered Report on Twitch. Thanks very much.
Cheers, guys.